Psychology reveals a woman who likes you will show these 20 signs every time. Most men never realize they've missed the biggest sign of attraction until it's too late. But you don't have to make the same mistake. Backed by psychology and years of research into attraction, this isn't guesswork, it's science. Women reveal their interest in subtle, consistent ways. In this video, we'll go through 20 of those signs, and the final one could make all the difference. 1. She frames silence as connection. Most people fear silence like it's an awkward monster sitting in the room. But if a woman likes you, she'll use those pockets of quiet as glue, not gaps. Instead of scrambling to fill the air with chatter, she lets the stillness linger because your presence is enough to make it feel full. Imagine you're sitting across from her, sipping coffee. Neither of you speaks for a moment. If she feels tense, she'll fidget, check her phone, or change topics. But if she likes you, she leans into that pause, giving you a half smile that says, "This doesn't need words." Psychology calls this comfortable silence, and it's rarer than diamonds. It's her subconscious way of saying she'd rather exist in that moment with you than escape it. 2. She mirrors your pace, not your words. We all know about body language mirroring. It's practically a pop psychology poster child. But here's the twist. A woman who truly likes you won't just copy gestures. She'll sync with your pace of being. If you walk slowly, she doesn't just slow down. Her breathing, her cadence, even the rhythm of how she sets her glass down starts to harmonize with yours. This isn't conscious mimicry, it's nervous system resonance. In psychology, it's tied to interpersonal synchrony, the phenomenon where two people literally align their biological rhythms. It's not about parroting your laugh, it's about her nervous system whispering, "I want to move through the world at your speed." 3. She leaves conversational breadcrumbs. A woman interested in you rarely asks, "When are we hanging out again?" That's too bold for many. Instead, she scatters breadcrumbs of curiosity throughout the conversation, seemingly casual remarks that open doors for you to step through. She might say, "I've always wanted to try that new rooftop spot," then let the words hang like a neon sign. Or she'll mention a band she loves that never tours near here, almost daring you to connect the dots. These breadcrumbs aren't accidents. Psychology frames this as strategic self-disclosure, planting pieces of personal interest that invite reciprocity. If she likes you, she's not just talking about herself. She's drawing a map where X marks the date she hopes you'll suggest. 4. She shifts her storytelling lens. Notice how she talks about her past. If she's lukewarm about you, her stories stay generic. Surface-level tales about coworkers, friends, or that vacation she took 3 years ago. But if she likes you, the lens shifts. Her anecdotes suddenly spotlight her inner world, not just events. Instead of saying, "We went to a festival," she says, "I felt this rush of freedom being out in the crowd." This switch isn't random. It's a psychological signal of trust, rooted in the self-reference effect. People remember and reveal emotional experiences when they feel safe with someone. If her stories are laced with feelings instead of just facts, it means she wants you to see the real behind her highlight reel. 5. She turns interruptions into invitations. Most people hate being interrupted, but when a woman likes you, interruptions take on a different texture. She won't cut you off to dominate. She'll cut in to pull herself closer. Picture this. You're halfway through a story, and she interjects, not with a change of subject, but with, "Wait, so how did you feel when that happened?" That's not derailment. That's her saying, "Your inner world matters enough for me to step into it." Psychologists call this active constructive responding, reacting in ways that expand a conversation rather than shrink it. If her interruptions stretch your words instead of silencing them, it's because she's trying to weave herself deeper into your narrative. 6. She lets her attention leak sideways. Here's a sneaky one. When attraction is at play, attention doesn't always point straight at you. Sometimes it leaks sideways in unexpected directions. For example, she may fixate on an object near you. A pen you're holding, the logo on your shirt, the mug you're sipping from. She studies it, asks about it, lingers on it. To the untrained eye, it looks like distraction. But psychology knows better. It's a displacement behavior. She's channeling her interest in you onto safe objects so she doesn't feel overexposed. If she keeps circling attention around things tethered to you, that's not avoidance. It's attraction finding a detour. 7. She adds friction where most remove it. We assume that if someone likes us, they'll smooth every interaction, making it easy and agreeable. But here's the twist. Women who are genuinely interested sometimes insert tiny bits of friction. She may playfully disagree, challenge a point you made, or toss in a sarcastic quip. Not because she wants conflict, but because friction creates spark. Psychology calls this teasing as bonding, a way to test if connection can withstand tension. Think of it as emotional resistance training. She pushes lightly to see if the dynamic can flex without snapping. If she never challenges you, she might just be polite. But if she sprinkles in just enough resistance to keep you on your toes, that's interest dressed as banter. 8. She manages exits instead of rushing them. Pay close attention to how she ends interactions. If she's neutral, she'll slip out quickly. Phone check, a casual, gotta go, and she's gone. But if she likes you, her exits turn into mini productions. She'll linger at the door, repeat herself, add just one more detail to the conversation. Psychologists refer to this as reluctant disengagement, the subtle stalling behaviors people use when they're not ready to disconnect. She might gather her things slower than a turtle on vacation, circle back to a story she already told, or suddenly remember to ask a quick question. It's not about the logistics of leaving. It's about stretching the thread of connection until the very last second. 9. She uses questions as mirrors. Most people ask questions to collect information, but when a woman likes you, her questions become mirrors, reflecting her own hopes or thoughts. For instance, she might ask, "Do you ever think about moving somewhere new?" That's not just idle curiosity. That's her revealing a desire for change and seeing if your vision aligns. Psychology calls this projective questioning, when people phrase their own feelings as inquiries to test compatibility. If her questions seem oddly personal or forward, it's not interrogation. It's her way of holding up a mirror to her own desires, hoping to catch a glimpse of your reflection inside it. 10. She invests in your peripheral world. Here's a subtle but powerful one. When a woman likes you, her interest expands beyond the main event, you. She becomes curious about your peripheral world. Suddenly, she remembers the name of your coworker you mentioned once, or she asks how that side project you talked about months ago is going. This isn't small talk. Psychology calls it contextual investment, where someone cares enough to track details outside the spotlight. If she weaves threads from your outer circles into conversation, it means she's not just collecting trivia. She's actively mapping herself into your wider life. 11. She treats shared space like territory. When a woman isn't interested, her interaction with space is neutral. She'll sit, stand, or move without much thought about proximity. But if she likes you, she begins to treat shared environments like subtle territory. She might casually place her jacket on the chair next to yours, set her drink close to your elbow, or lean objects in your direction. Psychology calls this proxemic marking, the unconscious habit of claiming micro-territories to anchor connection. It's not about staking dominance. It's her quiet way of weaving herself into the environment around you, as though to say, "This corner of the world feels like ours." 12. She exaggerates time perception around you. Ever notice how time feels distorted when emotions run high? When a woman likes you, she unconsciously amplifies moments spent together. She'll remark, "Wow, I didn't realize how late it got," or laugh about how the night flew by. This isn't scripted small talk. It's a reflection of chronostasis, the psychological phenomenon where emotional intensity alters the sense of duration. To her, 10 minutes with you stretches into 30, or 3 hours vanish like smoke. When she consistently loses track of time in your presence, it's because her attention is so tethered to you that the clock loses its grip. 13. She creates continuity between meetings. Attraction isn't confined to a single interaction. A woman who likes you will subtly stitch past and future moments together. She'll reference something you said last week, follow up on a half-told story, or remind you of a joke from your first conversation. This continuity isn't just good memory. It's her brain building a narrative thread that keeps you central. Psychologists call this episodic linking, where small callbacks weave experiences into a storyline. If she's always finding ways to turn isolated moments into a series, it's because she's scripting you into her ongoing plot. 14. She softens self-criticism around you. Most people can be brutally hard on themselves. But if a woman likes you, pay attention to how she navigates her own flaws in your presence. Instead of harsh self-judgment, she'll often soften it, framing mistakes with humor or lightheartedness. She might laugh about spilling something instead of shrinking from embarrassment. This isn't about hiding imperfections. It's about self-presentational buffering, a psychological mechanism where attraction encourages people to showcase resilience rather than fragility. She wants you to see her as human, yes, but also as someone who can recover gracefully. It's a small but telling shift in how she handles her own vulnerability. 15. She escalates sensory references. Listen closely to her language. If she's indifferent, her descriptions stay abstract. She'll talk about what she did or thought. But if she likes you, sensory details sneak in. She'll mention how something smelled, how a fabric felt, or how the evening light looked. This isn't random. It's sensory anchoring. By layering conversations with sensory cues, she's unconsciously inviting you to enter her inner experience. Attraction sharpens the senses, and sharing those heightened impressions becomes her way of pulling you into the vividness she feels when you're near. 16. She tests micro-availability. Interest has a funny way of probing without full exposure. A woman who likes you might casually test your micro-availability. She'll drop a line like, "What are you usually doing on Sundays?" Or, "Do you ever stay up late during the week?" These aren't idle curiosities. They're soft probes into the rhythm of your life, subtle checks to see where she might fit in. Psychologists call this contingent inquiry, asking about availability without asking directly for it. If she's mapping your schedule without scheduling anything outright, it's attraction disguised as casual questioning. 17. She amplifies micro-celebrations. Notice how she reacts to your small wins. A coworker might nod politely when you mention finishing a project. A friend might say, "Nice." But if she likes you, her celebration inflates. She laughs harder at your little victories, claps at minor achievements, or echoes back your excitement with energy that almost seems disproportionate. This isn't about exaggeration. It's about emotional contagion. Psychology shows that when someone cares, they mirror and amplify positive affect to heighten connection. If she treats your everyday wins like championship trophies, it's because your happiness has become a source of hers. 18. She creates invisible alliances. Attraction often expresses itself through subtle alliances no one else notices. Maybe you're in a group conversation and she gives you a knowing glance when someone says something odd. Or she lightly echoes your opinion in a debate, not by parroting, but by reinforcing it. Psychologists call this coalitional signaling, a subtle alignment that communicates we're on the same team. It doesn't need big declarations. It's the quick eyebrow raise, the faint smirk, the little signals that say, "Between you and me, we get it." If she's consistently creating invisible alliances, she's investing in a duo dynamic. 19. She punctuates conversations with return cues. Watch how she ends her sentences. Instead of simply finishing a thought, she'll often punctuate with cues that pull you back in, like, "You know what I mean?" Or, "Right?" Or a playful pause that begs a response. Psychology calls this conversational scaffolding, leaving deliberate openings for the other person to re-engage. If she likes you, she doesn't want her words to land as monologues. She wants them to bounce back, to create rhythm. Every return cue is her way of extending the dance, ensuring the conversation doesn't flatline. 20. She reveals attraction through absence. The clearest signal often arrives when she's not around. A woman who likes you will leave behind traces, little follow-ups that keep the thread alive. Maybe she sends a random meme connected to something you talked about. Maybe she remembers a detail you forgot and drops it later in a text. Psychologists call this displaced engagement, maintaining connection through delayed or indirect gestures. If she's echoing conversations after the fact, it's because her mind is still looping around you long after the interaction has ended. Attraction doesn't clock out when the meeting ends. It lingers, looking for ways to resurface. Up next, discover what women do when they think you're attractive, or learn the questions they ask when flirting with you. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more.